watching Mainland News. I'm Joy Devine. In today's news, delegates converging for local government conference, TPP protest planned outside Rutherford, area commander update on local crime, more dramas for inter-islander ferries, and blessing of the fleet this weekend. The momentum for change for local government is building and is expected the 2014 Local Government Conference to be held in Nelson from Sunday will reflect this change and exceed expectations. The conference will see over 500 delegates converge on the Nelson Tasman region this weekend. The local government sector oversees a huge range of services every day, affecting the daily lives of all New Zealanders, from the pavements you walk on, the roads you drive on, managing the quality of the water you drink, and the recreation grounds where you cheer on your kids. LGNZ's 2014 conference will focus on local government's role in powering economies and building vibrant communities. The conference will take place in the heart of Nelson City, and a chance for delegates to listen to highly regarded local and international speakers and take part in valuable hard-hitting discussions and network within the sector. I spoke with Tasman Mayor Richard Kempthorne about what this event means for the region. A conference of this size has to be good, doesn't it, Richard, for the region economically?
Yeah, it's great for the region, and it's really good to have the Local Government New Zealand conference down here. I think we're about 10% ahead of registrations for other conferences in recent years, so people are seeing that it is a nice place to come to, and we'll be trying to ensure that they have a really good time. I've been actually watching the weather, and it's really nice, good Nelson winter clear weather while they're here, and so that's really nice that we're going to be looking good.
Fantastic. So I suppose they'll be shown around a bit?
Yes, they will.
Excellent.
The conference itself is a pretty busy time, and once you get into it, one of the big values of the local government conference is the networking that occurs by being everybody is here together, chief executives, mayors, chairs of regional councils, councillors, and other associated organisations and government politicians, and there's a great amount that is achieved by sharing experiences, and a lot of the issues that we have are common to us all, and it's a really good opportunity of being together.
And here's hoping they'll do a little bit of shopping and, tiki-touring around.
Absolutely, I'm sure they will.
Brilliant. Hey, as Mayor of Tasman, what's your understanding about what will be discussed at the conference?
Oh, there's just, I haven't got the program in front of me, but there's a lot of material about what local government is involved with and the key issues. There are workshops and presentations, so there's quite a choice of things people can go to, and people are welcome to have a look online at the local government conference and the program if they want to.
And how do you feel local government is doing in general?
Oh, it's doing well. Local government is incredibly important for our local communities. The purpose of local government is engaging with local communities. I actually believe we do a good job. There are always challenges. Challenges are never going to run out, but it is the councils around the country, if you look at mayors and elected members who stand, the reason they do it is to make a positive difference to our communities, and there is a huge amount that is done. Some of it's behind the scenes, some of it's out, well known to everybody, but the whole purpose is to benefit our communities, and that's what we're there for.
Fantastic. And just finally, do you have any personal hopes or expectations from this conference for the Tasman region specifically?
No, not for the Tasman region specifically. It's really good to have it here because we've got several of our councillors can attend because we don't have the travel and accommodation costs. So it's a really good opportunity of more of our elected members being able to attend and actually see what happens, what's discussed, who's there, and all of the connections that are made. So that's actually a really positive thing. But apart from that, it's just how can we best carry out local government functions for our community and New Zealand as a whole to the maximum benefit of our communities. And that's what it's all about.
And if the past turnout of locals to peaceful TPP protests in Nelson is anything to go by, another planned protest outside the upcoming local government conference is also likely to draw a strong gathering. Nelson man Graham O'Brien has been a supporter of informing the public and the councils to act now before the TPP agreement is signed to pass a resolution to enable local body councils to reject some of the clauses and have some legal protections if the TPPA is signed in its current form. With the local government conference on at Rutherford Hotel beginning on Sunday, we asked Graham how the move to get councils to adopt the Nelson Council's resolution has gone and if he plans to have a voice during this conference.
We've had a lot of success around the country. So far we've got Auckland, Nelson, Tasman, Wellington Regional Council, Horowhenua, Palmerston North, the Horizons Committee, which is a regional council of Palmerston North, and just yesterday Whanganui put it to their council, to one of their committees, and that's going to a full council, and they came up with 650 signatures up in their area, so that's just fantastic news.
That seems to be quite a message for central government, isn't it? That people aren't actually very content with the way the TPPA is going.
Well, I mean, everyone that's taking an interest in it is very worried about what's actually involved, because we're only still working off leaked documents. Our Prime Minister won't tell us anything about it. The opposition seem to be not quite as forthright as we want them to be on it. So yeah, everyone's very worried, and we've got a couple of other councils that are putting it to their councils for debate as well. So these councils are starting to ask the local government, New Zealand, for some sort of lead on this and what they should do. So brings us to this weekend. We've got the Local Government New Zealand conference here from Sunday to Tuesday, and on Tuesday the President of Local Government New Zealand is going to put the critical questions, release the critical questions that they will ask the political parties for this upcoming election, and we want the TPP to be a question to that as well.
Is it going to be a question, or are you just speculating?
We're just speculating. We've put it to them. We're sending them a letter to ask that to be put on. We're going to be down there on Tuesday morning at 8:30 on this Tuesday, the 22nd, to have a bit of a peaceful protest and put our point across that we think this is one of the major issues for the election, and everyone should stop trying to slide it under the mat and get it past the public.
Yeah. So it's a real issue. It's not a non-issue.
It's a real issue, and it's coming at us really fast. I mean, America's trying to get fast track on it. Our government's trying to just push it through. Once the election's over, who knows what will happen with this TPPA negotiations.
2 ferries were to share the load of extra passengers crossing the Cook Strait on Thursday after the Aratiri cancelled its morning services. Reasons for the cancellation are unknown at this stage. On Wednesday, the Aratiri 6:45 a.m. sailing was cancelled on its first full day back in service. It was scheduled to dock at its Wellington Terminal Rail Wharf at 5:55 a.m. that morning after its sailing from Picton, but was finally tied up at around 7:45 a.m. The ferry had been in Singapore before being repaired after its propeller fell off in Cook Strait last November, and cracks were found on its rudder shaft during the repair process. Michael Flyger said on Wednesday Aratiri was running an average 15 minutes slower per crossing than what it was before the repairs. When working normally, the Aratiri makes 3 return services between Wellington and Picton, providing 45% of the Inter-Islanders' capacity. The ferry was purpose-built for New Zealand and has had many problems over the years. In 2011, it was refitted and stretched by 30 metres at a cost of about $54 million. Separately, Inter-Islander said that the Arahura ferry bumped into a wharf in Wellington on Thursday. He said there was no damage. And now Carly Danner of Mainland News speaks with Area Commander Steve Greeley about latest happenings pertaining to crime in the region.
So we're here with Area Commander Inspector Steve Greeley. Thank you, Steve, for speaking with us today.
No problem, always a pleasure.
So there's been an increased report in boy racers lately. Could you give us a little background about that?
It is a bit of an issue for us, unfortunately. People that have been in Nelson, the wider Nelson Bays area for some time, they'll recall, of course, that about 2.5 years ago we launched a big operation against the boy racers, and it was very, very successful. We impounded 12 vehicles and got them off the road, and it was really good. And it seems to have died down for a while, but of late, anybody who's driven the Whangamowers recently, or Old Coach Road in the upper Moteri area, or out towards St Arnaud's, will see the evidence of boy racer activity, and that's got us really concerned, of course. Because what happens there is when people are doing skids and donuts and burnouts and things in a rural area, an innocent member of the public, whether it be a family, comes around the corner, and the potential for a fatality is very, very real. So we're going to invest a lot more resource into the boy racer scene right now. So yeah, it's really disappointing, really, that they've started up again.
2 years ago, Operation West arrested several youth drivers and also seized multiple vehicles. How will those tactics be used this time around, and what consequences will these young drivers face?
Yeah, I'd be really reluctant to talk about the tactics because it was so successful last time, and what the boy racers need to know is that this sort of driving is absolutely idiotic. It is lunacy, and it will not be tolerated. It's highly dangerous. So it's not just about saving the public from them, it's also about saving them from themselves, from their own stupidity. So this is the sort of thing that we're trying to get across. If anybody is caught for the sustained loss of traction, that's the donuts and that sort of stuff, they can lose their car for quite some time, and they will be prosecuted. So yeah, it is pretty serious.
And if anyone witnesses boy racers, how should they approach the situation?
Absolutely. We're not asking people to get involved at all. Some people can be quite dangerous. So what we would advise is for anybody that sees us to note the time, place, and the date, of course, and the registration of the car, and what type of car it is too, if they can. Stay out of it. Leave the detective work to our team. That's what we get paid to do, and we will certainly follow that up.
So a report released by police in 2013 said that tasers were most used by police officers. Do you see this to be true? And if so, why are tasers the most popular option for police officers?
Well, I'm not sure about it's the most preferred option. I don't think it would be. What happens with a police officer, when they go to a job involving violence or threats of violence, they have to use a graduated response. And what that means is you start with communication, you talk, then you move to open hand tactics. Then you might, if it's still a bit violent, you might want to consider the use of your baton or your capsicum spray. And if that doesn't work, well, then you've got the taser. Now, before the taser was introduced, the next step from the baton and the spray was a firearm. It goes straight to lethal force. What the taser does is it gives the police officer a non-lethal alternative to actually sorting out the situation. So it's a really, really good thing. It preserves life. Now, most of the times when our staff go to a job, they'll take out a taser. If they do take the taser out, they paint, what we call painting the offender, and it shows a little red dot as to where the taser would fire and where it would hit. Most of the time, the offender sees that dot and they give up straight away. So it's a non-violent means of solving an issue. So the taser is a very helpful thing. Now, across Tasman, I think the last year we had 29 uses of the taser. It's very, very low and very, very pleasing. It means most of our violent offences are being resolved in a non-violent manner, which is very, very good. But I can assure you, when the officers deem it necessary to take out a taser and use it, it is justified.
Though effective, do you think that tasers present a danger to the person being tasered or even the police officer doing the tasering?
No. The taser is static electricity. It's 50,000 volts. What it does is it renders the offender incapacitated. They cannot move. And what that affords is it affords the amount of time for the officer to go in and secure that offender by handcuff. They can do that while the taser is running without injuring themselves. So it's a really, really good tool to use. It's a fantastic thing.
Great. Well, thank you for those updates.
No worries.
Now we asked people on the streets of Nelson what they thought about the blue stripes recently painted on Bridge Street. The design work was carried out by local landscape architect Canopy with the idea to brighten up the street and create a safer area. A Nelson Mail poll found 86% of voters thought the blue lines were pointless, 5% said they were pretty, and 7% didn't know.
Nelson City Council has recently painted blue lines on the pavement on Bridge Street. What do you think about the newest addition to Bridge Street?
I think it's very clever, and it will bring a lot of the right people into the city, onto that street especially.
I think it is just the silliest idea ever. I can't believe anybody would come up with that.
I'm not too sure. I think it's okay, but yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome.
We'll just have to wait and see.
I think they look a bit weird, like there's not very much point of having them there.
I like the idea, but I actually don't think they look that great.
I think they just look a bit random and they don't really go with like the colours of this area, sort of.
I do like the seats though. I think the seats are quite cool with the planters. But yeah, the stripes don't do anything for me. I think it's a waste of money.
Each year, to signal the start of Nelson's main fishing season for hoki and scallops, a commemorative service is held at the Seafarers Memorial on Sunderland Marine Pier, and this is called the Blessing of the Fleet. A huge crowd of thousands of Nelsonians gather at the site, and the inner harbour is filled with fishing boats as church ministers provide prayers and lead the singing of psalms and hymns, seeking God's beneficence and protection as the fishermen prepare for the seasons. This moving ceremony incorporates a minute's silence in memory of those who have lost their lives at sea and helps to strengthen a brotherhood of the sea between seafarers today and their forebears. The service culminates with the collective blast of boat horns, and festivities begin with the sail past of the fleet and demonstration of sea safety procedures, tugboat manoeuvres and all manner of fishing related activities designed to give the crowd some idea of the work of the fishermen. The ceremony has now become a highlight of the Nelson cultural calendar and has been taken to heart by the population, given Nelson's close association with the sea and the employment that people get from water-based activities. The Blessing of the Fleet starts this Friday with a 30-minute fire display at 6:30 p.m. Then on Saturday, the blessing ceremony starts at 12:30 p.m. at the Sunderland Pier on Wakefield Quay. Up for a new exhibition that will commemorate 100 years since World War I. The exhibition, titled World War 100, will be opening in August, and we caught up with museum CEO Peter Millwood to talk about what this exhibition has in store for the public. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.